See, the next point is computer generation. Computer generation. What is mean by generation? In in generation in computer means steps in technology. Generation in computer means steps in technology. It provides a framework. It provides a framework for the growth of a computer industry. It provides a framework for the growth of a computer industry. Originally, the term generation was used to originally the term generation was used to distinguish between varying hardware technology, but it has been extended it has been extended to include both hardware that together make up a computer system. See what is mean by generation. Computer generation in computer means steps in technology. Okay, listen. First generation, there is a fifth generation in computer system. There is a five generation in computer system. See, first first generation year is established. The year is 1942 to 1955. 1942 to 1955. Listen. In first generation, the computer of the first generation were manufactured using vacuum tubes. The computers of the first generation were manufactured using vacuum tubes as switching device. As electronic switching device, a vacuum tube was a fragile glass device. It was the only high speed electronic switching. It was the only high speed electronic switching device available in those days. These vacuum tube computers, these vacuum tube computers cloud perform computation in milliseconds and were known as first generation computer and known as first generation computer. In first generation established is 1942 to 1955 using the vacuum tube. For in first generation use the vacuum tube. The next characteristic and features of first generation. Characteristic and features of first generation. Listen. They were fastest calculating device of their time. They were fastest calculating device of their time. They were too bulky in size, requiring large rooms for installation. They were too bulky in size, requiring large rooms for installing. Computer required constant maintenance. Computer required constant maintenance as vacuum tubes used a families. They had limited limited life. Then see second one is second generation established the year is 1955 to 1964. In second generation, vacuum tubes were replaced by transistor. In second generation, vacuum tubes were replaced by transistor. These computers were smallest, faster, more reliable and more energy than first generation computer. In second generation, use the transistor. These computers were smallest, faster, more reliable and more energy than the first computer. Listen, characters and features of second generation. Character and features of second generation. They were more than they were more than 10 times faster than the first generation computers. They were more than 10 times faster than the first generation computer. They were smaller than first generation computer and required smallest space. They were smaller than first generation computers and required smallest space. The consumed less power and dispatched less heat than the first generation. Then another is they were easier to program. They were easier to program and use than the first generation computer. They were easier to program and use than the first generation program.